It is lights out and away we go. Hello, racers. Welcome to episode 37 of the Harder Soft F1 podcast. I am your host, Adrian Huff, and I'm joined by my co-host, RJ McCullough. What's up, RJ?
Hey, Adrian. As you can see, I'm in a different location. I'm dog sitting at my mom's place while she's on vacation. She just got a new puppy, so I would bring him on, but he requires too much attention to just leave him roaming around for an hour. So he's locked up right now. So yeah,
he couldn't just make a quick cameo. It would need to be a little longer than that.
Yeah, it would be a whole thing. So we're gonna stray away from that for now. Maybe by the time next season starts and he's a little more calm. But yeah, this season's over. I have to say, I'm glad it's over. It was kind of a grind to get through, especially after last year. We knew it wasn't going to live up to last year, but yeah, definitely happy that it's over. Looking forward to the new season, new fresh start for Mercedes and everything. So we'll obviously get into that and all the stuff that happened this year. But yeah, anything you want to talk about before we get into the latest news out of Ferrari?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna. Yeah, this is our sort of like wrap up episode. We're not gonna be taking a mid-season break or anything, but of course, this is the last coverage of the 2022 season. So we're gonna be going through sort of like the finale, sort of all the wrap up. Only thoughts? Yeah, it's real Ferrari oriented, but we definitely need to at least put a picture of your mom's new dog up so everybody can see, because I know everybody's upset they're watching or listening. So
Casey.
We also posted a picture because you have a French bulldog on our Instagram when Winston won the National Dog Show during Thanksgiving here in America. We posted sort of a little honorary bogey post, and then we also included a picture of the puppy in that as well. So check that out if you want to watch it. But yes, big news out of Ferrari. I saw a very funny meme on Twitter today, and it ties into this. But Binotto is out. He's gone.
See ya, pal.
He's officially handed in his resignation. As of the new year, he will no longer be the Ferrari team principal or involved with Ferrari whatsoever. So it's a little interesting contrast because literally a couple of weeks ago, less than that, like a week ago, the Ferrari team tweeted that there was no changes when it came to their team principal or Binotto or anything like that. So that's 3 times now that there have been tweets or posts that have been directly contradicted shortly after. Alpine, Daniel Ricciardo, and now this.
Yeah, the PR teams in F1 not exactly doing the best job of keeping things in-house. And then when things do get out, they try and scramble to cover it up, Red Bull. But yeah, first, before I get into the Binotto, just if you're watching or listening to this, we usually save this for the end. If you're watching or listening, like and subscribe. Yes. Like and subscribe. Thank you. Moving on. Yeah, so I guess there's 2 questions, I guess, that come from this for me, mainly. Because we found out recently that Charles Leclerc hadn't really talked to Binotto, however true that is. The reports are that they haven't really been talking since, I don't know, Silverstone. So it's like before the summer break. So yeah, I guess the first question, how much of this do you think is because they want to keep Charles happy, or how much do you think is just the lack of performance from Ferrari this year compared to what they could have done?
As much as I wish it was Charles sort of taking, head and being like, let's get this team together. It's just a cycle that Ferrari is just continuing to not break. They get a new team principal, they upgrade the car, they get it to a competitive level, but due to incompetence and strategy or whatever it may be, they just can't clinch it and they choke. And then due to the choking, they fire their leadership and start all over. And it's literally happening again. So I'm afraid for Leclerc because, I don't want him to be like a Nico Hulkenberg almost, even though Nico never has won a race. Charles has won plenty. Obviously he's much more successful, but just talking about like sort of in that vein of him sort of never hitting that that level that I feel like everybody, including himself, has that expectation for him. So I as much as I have said that I think Binotto should not be team principal for Ferrari, I'm not. I don't feel any satisfaction from this at all. So I'm a little afraid for them next year.
Yeah, I mean, as much as they had a lot of mess ups and everything, a lot of it you can really put on a strategy team, like in race, not maybe necessarily on him, but it all falls on him. And like when you look at, obviously the examples of what you'd want would be like Toto or Christian Horner. As much as I hate Christian, he's incredible at his job. Yeah. And they just have this sort of like, I don't know, swag's not the right word, but like this extra, like they command attention when they walk into a room. Like you're not going to mess with those guys. I don't know. They just like, they have this extra thing to them. And Binotto just didn't really have that. And especially for a team like Ferrari, they kind of need someone that has like that all-encompassing little jeu de vivre, if you will. So yeah, that's it. I don't know. I'm not happy to see him go by any means, but I'm also not really upset. Which leads me to the other question that I have, which is just who do we think is going to replace him? There's been a few names tossed out there, but some of them are more realistic than others. I think I know who your dream pick would be, but who do you think is going to get it? Who do you want to get it?
I'm not quite sure how you pronounce the team principal of Alfa Romeo, but I think he's probably the most credible rumor and the most likely.
Vasseur?
Yeah. I saw a meme today where they announced that the team principal was the head of Ferrari strategy. I don't know his name either off the top of my head, but that made me laugh. I recognized it. Another rumor that we've discussed a lot is Ross Brawn, because he is retiring from the FIA, and it just would be incredible, but it's not going to happen, unfortunately. As much as I can daydream about that, like if it actually happened, like I think it would break F1. I mean, I think it would literally make people turn fan bases, like such a move. But it just doesn't seem like a Ferrari move. And also, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Ross Brawn at his age is wanting to, start a team principal position. But, it is Ferrari. So that would be amazing. But I don't know. Binotto, I feel like I've clowned on him a lot. We have clowned on him a lot this season for sure. That really kicked in for me though when he did the finger wag at Charles. At Silverstone, that really put a bad taste in my mouth because, it just felt disrespectful. But that being said, he also is incredibly talented and qualified. He goes all the way back with Ferrari to the Michael Schumacher days. So, I don't know. We'll see. Their history does not lend itself to a good ending to this or outcome.
Yeah, I guess Vasseur used to be with Ferrari, and then I don't know. There's a few people speculated that maybe Gunther, because Haas is affiliated, but that's not going to happen. That would be hilarious. But his personality and Ferrari would not mesh. No. And like with Ross Brawn, I don't think he would want to deal with the politics of Ferrari. He'd be better suited where he can kind of do his own thing. Like people act like he's just allowed to run things. I don't think Ferrari would let that happen, but
no facts.
So we'll see. It's up in the air at this point, but we'll definitely something to follow in the off season.
Yeah.
Another guy that is out but had a weird message is Nikita Mazepin. He seems to sprinkle up every once in a while now. Just when we thought we got rid of him, pulls us back in. And this was a few weeks ago, but one of the stranger messages, especially considering the personality that we saw from him, or lack thereof, I guess, the very Russian cold personality. Sam's going to read this. It might be a little bit long, but it's weird. I'll put it up so you can read along, people that are watching. Okay. So this is from the Abu Dhabi, Nikita Mazepin's Instagram. At this weekend's F1 race in Abu Dhabi. Nice to be here as a guest and see old friends. Got me thinking about some words of wisdom I can share with Seb, Daniel, Nikki, and Mick as they get ready to move on. So here's what awaits you in the 5 stages of departing the stable. Stage 1, denial. You will find yourself driving circles around your apartment building. Don't make the mistake I made. Turn on your stopwatch. It's entirely possible that another F1 team will be interested in your results and you won't have to endure the next 4 stages. Stage 2, anger. You blame everyone but yourself for having to leave F1, particularly the Drive to Survive film crew. You watch the races obsessively and yell at the screen. Stage 3, bargaining. You hold a press conference where you put on a brave face and thank the team principal who fired you in hopes that your cheerful smile and natural charm will get you a seat with a new team. Stage 4, depression. Drink, party on a yacht, sleep it off, gain 5 kilos, repeat on endless loop. This will not be an easy stage to get through, but your friends will enjoy it. Stage 5, keeps going. Acceptance. Congratulations, you've reached the final Grand Prix of being shown the exit. You stop obsessing about F1 and start thinking about your next steps while keeping yourself in shape and keeping the door open for a return. Just kind of a, strange message from Nikita. Like he's never really shown any personality, and he's just,
It's extremely strange, but did you see the replies?
Yeah, I was just looking at that too. You want to read those ones?
Yeah, absolutely. Seb responded, total respect to your climate initiatives. I'm sure they will be of great use not only to the racing community.
Are those replies or those are ats? Like
those are ats. Oh shit,
yeah.
They are. Okay, that makes way more sense. Okay, so
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Just think. Okay, yeah. It does make more sense. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah. So that's my fault. He tagged Sebastian Vettel and he said, "Total respect to your climate initiatives. I'm sure they'll be of great use not only to the racing community." That makes way more sense. At Daniel Ricciardo, I know you will always keep your sense of humor. I predict great things for you in stage 4, where you can drink all kinds of things out of your shoes. Be creative. Nicholas, thanks to you, the team and fans can look optimistically into the future. No doubt you will surprise us. At Mick Schumacher, we grew up in the sport together, and I wish you luck going forward. I'm sure we will get a lot of likes from Pierre Gasly. Peace and love to all. I guarantee you Mazepin does not get 1 like from Pierre Gasly.
Even though everyone else does. Yeah, that's
yeah
strange. And like poor Latifi, thanks to you, the team can look forward to an optimistic future. Like I know what he means, but that can be read as like, well, you're leaving, so their future is optimistic now.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
I can't picture him saying any of that stuff. Like obviously they know him differently, but
yeah, I don't know. I guess he's been like sort of around these guys for their whole lives, but yeah, very weird because why would you even tag Seb? That seems derivative. Seb's leaving on his own accord with a successful career, neither of which did Mazepin do.
Yeah, like who is he to? So moving on from Mazepin, the exact opposite, because Mazepin loser, RJ winner. We're going to the Haas League final scores, which I just wiped the floor with you as we discussed before. But it was interesting. We actually looked at the total points of each guy in the season. Like, so total was you finished with 1,120. I finished with 1,228. So beat you by 108 points.
Jesus.
But your top 2 had more than any of my guys. Because obviously you had Max 454, Charles 308. But then I had the combination of Lewis 240, Sainz 246, Russell 275, Perez 305. So.
Man.
Yeah.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah, we'll have to turn that into a more graphic-based thing next year so people can follow along a little better. Yes. But just for our interests, I just want everyone to know that of the 2 of us, I am the one that knows F1 more in this podcast, as evidenced
absolutely
by those scores. There's no other way to look at it. So I just wanted everyone else to know that.
You can't deny it. You definitely know which drivers are better, except for the top 2, apparently.
Yeah. Well.
God, yeah, that goes to show how awful my picks were at the start of the season. Honestly, I was excited. We just started the show. It was a new F1 season. I put way too much faith in a couple drivers. Specifically, I have to say Pierre Gasly. I'm really shocked that I picked him as my 3rd pick when I still had either Perez. Perez probably. Like, what's wrong with me? So I'm gonna just toss that one off chalk it up to a loss, and we're going to come back next year strong with a good draft, especially since I get that first pick. We'll see what happens. Yes.
Don't let me win 2 years in a row, because that's a start of a dynasty.
That would be legitimately embarrassing. But yes, since I lost, I believe by either the end of next season or the start of the 24 season, I have to go to Canada. So that's going to be very exciting. I need to apply for my passport because I've never left the country before. I've flown plenty of times, but I've never left the country. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff we want to do up here. So yeah, we'll get to that. So now we'll move on to kind of wrapping up the 22 season. We're not going to go through like race by race, but kind of just like standings, and then I have a couple just like points, the discussion points from the season, kind of things that happened that maybe we forgot about or just want to bring back up. Yep. But and then kind of what we think the best race, maybe stuff like that. So first though, we'll go through the standings, the actual F1 standings. I'll do the driver if you want to do the constructors.
Cool.
Also, on that note, I was looking for the payout structure for like what teams win based on where they finish in the constructors. I couldn't really find like everything I found said different things. So that was going to be a topic on this week's show, but I couldn't find anything reliable. So maybe next week. But anyways, 2022 final driver standings. Last time we'll bring this up because it's not good. Max Verstappen, 454. Charles Leclerc, second, 308. Sergio Perez, third, 305. George Russell, fourth, 275. Fifth, Carlos Sainz, 246. Sixth, Lewis Hamilton, 240. Seventh, Lando Norris, 122. Eighth, Esteban Ocon, 92. Ninth, Fernando Alonso, 81. 10th, Valtteri Bottas, 49. 11th, Ricciardo. 12th, Vettel. 13th, Kevin Magnussen. 14th, Pierre Gasly. That's surprising. 15th, Lance Stroll. 16th, Mick Schumacher. 17th, Yuki Tsunoda. 18th, Zhou Guanyu. 19th, Alexander Albon. 20th, Nicholas Latifi. And then Nick DeVries. 21st, Nico Hulkenberg. 22nd. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, we kind of, it's been discussed a lot, so we don't really need to go too much into Max, but yeah, congrats to Max. Charles second, pretty good. Disappointment for Lewis to finish behind George, but that's okay. And then in the constructors.
Yes, the constructors, and Lewis is, he's not shied away from how much he fucking hates this car. So, but yes, we had Red Bull, obviously, our winners, their first constructors in almost a decade with 759 points. Then we've got Ferrari, 554, Mercedes, 515, Alpine, 173, McLaren, 159, Alfa Romeo, 55, Aston Martin, 55. So due to, however they determine it, I don't know if it's results or whatever, Alfa Romeo actually pulled off 6th and Aston Martin kept 7th, and Haas kept 8th. That is huge for Haas. Like, that is massive. 37 points, 2 points ahead of AlphaTauri in 9th with 35. And then good old Williams with 8 points. Shout out to Alex Albon.
Yeah, definitely. They'll be looking to do what Haas did and move up. I think they will next year. I think, they're poised well for next year. So I'm not exactly sure how you did your notes for this week, but I'm going to go through a couple moments. Just going to throw out a term. You have anything you want to talk about it? We'll talk about it. So
let's do it.
Start of the year, we had the big story coming in was just the new regulations. Obviously a lot different. Mainly we're to get like closer following, more overtakes, stuff like that. Would you say now, looking back on the season, that the regulations were intended, would you say that it worked out or no?
I think they worked out. I don't think it worked out as well as they maybe intended, but yeah, I definitely think there was for sure improvements. I mean, the whole dirty air was definitely a much, much worse problem, last season. So I wouldn't say it was ineffective or that they didn't accomplish anything that they set out for this season. I definitely think, as far as the regulations go, I would say that I think they did a decent job.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as the cars develop more, maybe we'll come to see more of it, because definitely there was more overtakes, I think, in the entire, like, if you look at last season to this season, the total number of overtakes was higher. There's a lot more, like, if you passed a car, they had a chance to pass you back. It wasn't just one car passes and then they're gone.
Yeah.
So I think overall, like, yeah, it kind of sucked that Max ran away with things, but that's kind of more credit to, like, Adrian Newey and building the best car, plus obviously Max. So yeah, I would say they worked. I agree with you that it wasn't like a 10 out of 10. They didn't like blow it out of the water, but yeah, I'd say like what they intended it to do. I think it was a success. The next thing that became a buzzword that I don't think any of us had ever heard this term before this year, but it became the word for about 2 months, is porpoising. Porpoising was the big thing that happened mainly with Mercedes, basically just bouncing up and down. Yeah, it was a buzzword. So thankfully, it seems like everyone kind of got a hold of it by about summer break. But yeah, that was strange. I guess my biggest memory of the porpoising was Baku, when like Lewis basically couldn't get out of the car. So that was just,
that was wild.
Not great. That was crazy. And like people will be like, oh, they're just exaggerating, but even like all the races at the beginning of the year, and it wasn't just Mercedes, they just had it the worst. Like the camera angles that they would show, like you literally could see them bouncing up and down and up and down, and like the strain that would have.
Yeah.
Just crazy. Yeah. Did anything stick out for you with hopefully the foregone porpoising?
I mean, it was like all we were talking about for a while, and yeah, it's like, I mean, that's how long this season has been. I feel like it hasn't felt that long, but I mean, God, Baku was like so long ago. I completely had forgotten Lewis like getting out of the car. I made a TikTok about that on our page and completely forgot about it. Yeah, that is just like completely wild. The porpoising, I mean, it just makes me think of the start of this past season and just sort of like the theories. And I mean, people were talking about porpoising before we even saw any of the preseason testing, when it was the first testing that wasn't broadcast. So, I mean, it's wild how far we've come. It's awesome. And obviously glad that all the teams were able to, figure it out and get that past that hurdle.
Yes. Another memory, one that I hope we see again, that actually when it happened I thought was something we were going to see more this year, was DRS chicken. When Charles and Max were going back and forth, that was awesome. Didn't really get to see any more of it, but yeah, DRS chicken was really cool. Do you have anything about DRS chicken that you remember?
Yeah, that's actually, I guess I can go ahead and say my favorite call from Crofty the whole season was from Max and Charles, like early battles when they were doing the DRS chicken, because that was by far, no debate about it for me, the, like, not going to say the only exciting time this season, but like it was the only time where like you just like, it was like really, really exciting. Like the season peaked literally in the first race or two. So it's just, it makes me a little salty.
Yeah.
I had a different one for my best call, but I knew for a 100% fact that you would have picked it. So I went for the other one.
Yeah, you know it. Next, I guess I should have brought this up earlier, but the end of last year, the most hated man in Formula One was Michael Massey, and he got the boot. So they brought in a couple people, supposed to be two guys that were making all the decisions. It kind of just ended up being one guy, and they would rotate races. But how do you think the FIA did this year? I know there's a couple big blow-ups or mistakes they made this year. Yeah, how do you think they did without Michael Massey, and just in general, how do you think the FIA was?
Yeah, I tried doing some research and trying to find like a breakdown of all the like fuck ups they did this season, but there's just nothing really out there. But from personal memory, I mean, obviously, I'm sure they don't want articles out there of like, here are the biggest fuck ups from the FIA and why they suck. But they do suck. They do. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but like, I don't think it was a bad decision to fire Massey, but like the replacements, it's just like, I'm just trying to find the right words to say. I don't think these guys they're definitely not more qualified than Massey. I'll say that. I think it's a little of a stretch for me to say that they're equally, because there were a lot of like fuck ups this year as far as regulation goes and overall safety in general and like following rules and stuff like that. There were some fuck ups much bigger than Abu Dhabi. The only reason Abu Dhabi, is just so fucking important is because, he decided to fuck up. I mean, I'm not saying the FIA was perfect in 21 either, but he fucked up at literally the worst possible time and had the worst possible reaction that literally caused the internet to explode. So that being said, I don't think they improved whatsoever this season besides, firing him, which they obviously just did to appease the public, because a lot of people in Formula One besides Mercedes, obviously, were outspoken against firing him, which I don't know if I agree with that. I just think the FIA needs just a big ol' overhaul, because it's bad. It's real bad.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, I was one of the people with pitchforks, get Massey out, I wanted him out, and I'm happy that he is out. And that name is going to haunt me till the day I die. But yeah, I don't think they really made much of an improvement this year. And again, it's hard. But every sport, like refereeing or whatever, it's hard. But it's supposed to be like you're the top pinnacle of motorsports. Like the mistakes they make are just. I mean, the two main ones that come to mind are the tractor in Suzuka, and then like that going on track while they were still coming around in soaking wet, and then Gazzy getting penalized for kind of the same thing, like in a similar incident, but he was obviously livid about that thing with the tractor being on track, and then the points mess up. I don't know if you can really put that one on the FIA, but when Max won the championship and nobody really knew that he won the championship, everyone obviously knew he was going to win the championship eventually, but when he crossed the line, there was no one knew. We all thought he was half points. It turned out to be full points.
Yeah.
And that was just sort of a mess up that shouldn't happen in F1. Things that shouldn't happen. But yeah, it seemed like every week there was one or two little things that we were just like, oh, FIA. Yeah. And of course we're going to be critical of them, but like they are the governing body. It's mistakes they make are just not. They're just silly, simple mistakes.
In fact,
we'll get soon to
next
our
year, yes, we will. But next year, I'm going to go ahead and say right now, I'm going to compile a list of every FIA error that they make in the 2023 season. I'll only keep track of qualifying and the GPs, because they're the ones I can guarantee that I will watch consistently every week, even though I do try to watch as many practices as I can. But yeah, I'm interested to see at the end of next year, a year from now, how long that list is.
Yeah, I mean, we know they'll be making mistakes, that's for sure. So we'll have to keep tally. Next, only a few left here. The Piastri tweet that sent F1 into an absolute spiral.
Yes.
Just shunning Alpine. Yeah, shunning Alpine for McLaren. We didn't really originally know it was McLaren, but that it seems like it was forever ago, and that looking back, it was just like, oh, whatever. But when it happened, that was the talk of F1 for a few weeks, like just dropping a bomb as a rookie, that he's not, in fact, going to drive with Alpine in 2023.
Yeah, that
now,
was.
Of course, Daniel, like the fallout with Daniel. Sorry,
yeah. No. I was just gonna say and then, the follow up exactly with Daniel, and just when he tweeted that, like, just imagining the inner headquarters of Alpine and just how like bananas that had to have been. But yeah, continue.
Yeah. Well, the rest of them are pretty recent, so I'm just going to run through them, and then we can get to the next thing on our list. So just a few other things that happened this year. Red Bull drama twice. They had the cost cap breach, and then they had the radio situation in Brazil with Perez and Verstappen. We had Kevin Magnussen getting a pole.
Yes.
Carlos Sainz and George Russell get their first F1 wins. Max gets 15 wins. Ferrari, constant failures. We're going to go into that. Mercedes finishes third. Lewis doesn't get a win. And McLaren, a big disappointment overall. Although, I guess you could say Lando had a pretty good year. But yeah, do we want to? I think it might deserve its own just bubble. Just Ferrari, how much they fucked up royally this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you've got that one, yeah?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it has been a torrential downpour of a year for Ferrari because, I mean, they started off so strong. I mean, Charles was leading the drivers' championship. Ferrari was leading the constructors. It's just like, how do you fumble it so bad? And then you remember what team you're talking about, and it makes a little more sense because, yeah, this year was like so just disappointing for Ferrari fans. I mean, even me, I'm not like I don't like exclusively root for Ferrari, but like, God damn it, I wanted them to do well this year, especially Charles, because I mean, it just feels like he's due for his. I've said this multiple times. He's due for his comeuppance. He needs the championship, or at least to be able to fight for it. And I do feel that Ferrari, the team, Binotto included, especially, just I don't know if they didn't take it seriously enough or like what it was, because it just felt disrespectful to Charles because, you know, at the start of the year, they for sure would not have told you, if you had asked them, do you have hopes for winning the championship? They would have said, well, it's too early in the season to tell, but obviously we're fighting for the championship. But after you fuck up so much and then Red Bulls run away with it, they're like, oh, well, we didn't want to win this year. We knew it wasn't going to happen. It's just, it's embarrassing. And I mean, the season's just ended and it still seems like their troubles are just continuing. So I think in the off season, for me, what's going to be like the most interesting is seeing who's going to be the team principal next year and like how is this team going to pull all this shit together and get this car built and running properly for next year. So
yeah. Do we have like a list of all the mistakes they made this year? So I'm sure we can think of some of them. Like obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you do? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't have like them all in order, but I had
No.
a couple jotted down. Like obviously the most recent one when they sent him out on the intermediate tires. I mean, like
quality.
how fucking incompetent can you get? It's just like minor mistakes like that they continue to make. There's been countless like errors, like not only just like mistakes by the team, like sending him out on the wrong tires, but like choosing bizarre strategies, like putting him on the hards when everyone's on mediums and just going really against the grain. I mean, I was literally like writing down examples earlier and there's like, it felt like almost every single weekend, like it was more like I was writing down weekends where they did well, because that happened way less often than when they fucked up. Cause I mean, I think back to, you know, France, they fucked up his tires there. Back in Austria was the only time they actually were able to pull it together when he got his win. But then that weekend, Sainz's car caught on fucking fire. Yeah. So it's always, and even if they're on the right strategy, they screw it up somehow with the pits or, it's just like odd decisions. They continuously, I feel like, they do have that no number one driver, but they continuously, I feel like, don't push Charles to the forefront to me, if that makes any sense. And, I don't know. It's disappointing. But yeah, there's a lot of errors this season. And it just felt like it got worse and worse over the season because, you look back to Imola, the first big mistake I felt like for them of the season, that was Charles' fault. It wasn't even the team. That would have been a good result for them. But, he pushed too hard. He spun out, lost, however many places that was. I don't quite remember. But yeah, it's just even, you think back to like 2018 when they had the whole debacle where they were winning and then their car was sort of declared illegal. It's just like, it never ends. Like it doesn't end. So yeah, I really feel for hardcore Ferrari fans because they really did fuck up every single weekend in some aspect. It's been mental.
Yeah, I would say I'm curious what you would think is their biggest mistake of the year. I think their number one that stands out to me is Monaco. I mean, not only is it Charles's home race, but they kind of had things in the bag and they just completely blew it, pissed off everyone. And that was sort of the turning point from things going okay and Charles really still having a chance in the fight. I think he was second, only like 20, 25 points behind Max at that point, maybe even less. And they just botched the pit strategy. And then
Monaco's a great example.
Yeah, I don't know if you have another one that just was just like kind of mind blowing. Like, how does an F1 team mess things up that badly? But yeah, that's the one that stands out to me for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the intermediates, the that is like obviously just so dumb, but that there was weather, blah blah blah, whatever. I'm trying to think of like a specific example. I didn't jot any specific ones down, but let me see here. Oh yeah, just besides that, when Charles in Brazil was asking like, "Hey, let's think about the championship. We're fighting for, P2 in the drivers," and they ignored him. They straight up just ignored his ass. So it's like I said, every fucking weekend, and that was the same weekend as the intermediates too, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the same weekend as the Red Bull thing.
Yeah, that was a big weekend. And Kevin Magnussen.
That was a great weekend.
Yes, it was.
So yeah, that's kind of, it's hard to sum up the whole Ferrari thing because there's just so much. It's like it just built and built and built all season long. But yeah, hopefully they'll get someone in there that can get things under control because they have all the potential in the world. Obviously, they have all the money, they have all the fans, they have two great drivers. So hopefully they can get things back on track. But let's do some best ofs of the year. I've got a couple that I wrote down. I don't know if you have any different ones as well that you can add, but
yes, I do.
Okay, so you want to just add yours then to the list? We'll do, so first one I've got, or you can just go back and forth, whatever. I've got, so best overtake. Do you have a best overtake?
Yeah, you're gonna hate me for this one. And it's gonna seem like this is me being mean. It's not. The reason this is the best overtake to me is because if you look at the contrast to literally like less than 6 months ago, it just completely blows your mind. And that's when Max overtook Lewis in Imola, and you had that fucking like 77-second gap between them. And that's not me trying to rub it in to Lewis's face. Obviously it was the car's fault. I am not trying to say anything like that, but like that moment blew my mind so hard that like I still am thinking about it. So that's totally like in retrospect the best overtake in the season to me.
That's a good one. I don't remember if it was if in the cool down room if this actually happened or someone photoshopped it, but I remember they were all like in the cool down room. Max, maybe the Ferrari guys were looking at the TV, and it showed like that graphic of Verstappen like gap to Hamilton like 77 seconds, and they were all laughing at it. I don't know if that was a Photoshop or if that actually happened, but I do remember that pissing me off as well. So that's a good one. My best overtake, and this goes against my guy, but at Silverstone, Charles Leclerc had an unbelievable, I think it was through Cops, he had an unbelievable overtake around Lewis Hamilton on, I think, like old tires, and just really, really great. I don't know if they even got a great camera angle of it on the broadcast, but I'm sure by now there is a good one. I saw, like, I was watching like a like a montage of all the best overtakes, and that one stood out to me as the best one. So I'll try and find that, throw it in there for everyone to see these ones. Yeah, you said your best call earlier. Want to just say that again briefly, and then I'll throw in the clip.
Yeah, it was It was specifically in Bahrain when Max and Lewis were sort of going at it, and they were doing as you said, the DRS chicken, and I don't remember exactly which lap it is, but like it's one of like the final laps, and it's right when Charles like does that just amazing move when he just like undercuts pretty much his braking and causes him to overbrake or late brake and understeer into the corner. And yeah, that is just like an electric moment, dude.
Leclerc, for the second lap running, has retaken the lead and has come out of turn 4 ahead. This is absolutely epic. Here he goes. Here he goes. He's doing it.
It's miles different. Oh, that's a big old lockup, Max.
This time around, Charles Leclerc, with the aid of that lockup, has got the advantage going into turn 4, and he should be far enough ahead.
It's so good.
All right, I'll have to find that, put it in. And yeah, mine was the one you knew I was going to take. It's also at Silverstone. Hamilton, going by Perez and Leclerc. Through goes Hamilton.
Yes.
They're going wheel to wheel. Who's going to be last on the brakes? Perez goes off the track. Off goes Leclerc. Through goes Hamilton. Unbelievable stuff.
I love that. That just gets me going.
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Real fast before we move on to the next one, I haven't watched the clip yet, but the cool down room in Imola was Sainz and Russell and Max. So we'll need to see, because Charles did mess up. I thought it was Max, Perez, and Sainz, but I forgot it was actually Russell in the cool down room. So I'm going to watch that once we finish wrapping up. That was also their weekend when they had their yellow liveries too, if I'm not. Oh wait, was that Monaco?
I think that was,
or not Monaco.
Italy, Monza.
Was that Monza?
I think they had the yellow in Monza.
Fuck.
But I'll find out. They had so many different ones this year.
God damn it!
I don't remember. I guess we should have done best livery.
Sure yeah, we should have. We can still do that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think off the top of my head if I even have one. Was
the
white Red Bull one this year?
That was.
I think that was last year.
That was last year because he actually just got back in that for like a press event like 2 days ago. Let me see. I am embarrassed because I'm now realizing that cool down room was not Imola. It was Monza. Imola was It was Perez. I was fucking. My original thought was correct. So. Yeah, it was. I believe it was Max, Perez, and then Lando. That was his only. Yeah, that was when he got his only podium this season. So it's entirely possible those motherfuckers were laughing. I would completely buy that shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to see.
Best race. Do you have a best race?
Yes. I put Brazil because I was thinking back and I was gonna put one of the earlier races just because again of how exciting they were. But Brazil this year was like, it was everything that I hoped it would be and way more. So for sure, that was the most fun I had watching a GP this year. Absolutely.
Yeah, I had Brazil as my favorite weekend because from qualifying with Magnussen, the sprint race being unbelievable, and then the race itself being great. Yeah, that's my best weekend. I think the best race I would say for me is keep going back to it, but Silverstone, I think the way it started with the big crash.
Yeah.
The great call and like great midfield battles. Sainz getting his win. Yeah, it's just all in all, I think that was a really good race. Biggest crash, I think this one's probably pretty obvious that it's Zhou Guan Yu. I don't know if
for
there's
sure.
any other, like if there's no even debate on that. And then
I looked
the last
up.
one
Sorry. No. Sorry. I keep interrupting you. I looked up a montage of all the crashes from this year. Literally none of them are even close to Zhou. It is like, holy shit. When you watch that clip, it is fucking crazy still. So yeah, for
one
sure.
Of the bigger crashes we've seen. Like that.
Oh yeah, ever. So yeah, for sure, the biggest crash of this year. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Like I was watching back the Senedoc. I was telling you, they're watching the Senedoc on Netflix. If anyone hasn't seen that, it's amazing. The onboard cameras they have from back then are like crazy how good they are. Like obviously they're like a bit shaky, but
yeah,
it's crazy. But yeah, I just say that to say like there was crashes that were, I don't want to say less bad because they resulted in fatalities, but crashes that were like less visually bad than that people died from a lot back then. And for Joe to be like just walking in the pits after that, just being fine pretty much is crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And then the last one I had, just because he had such a dominant season, owe it to Max to say, what was of his 15 wins or of the other races, what do you think was his best race? And I'll let you go because he's your boy.
So I had a hard time picking a specific one, so I put the triple header. Because that to me was the moment this season where you just knew it was over. I even think I said at the start of the triple header, I was like, Max potentially could make this like one of the most boring triple headers of all time. And he did, because he won all of them. And it wasn't even close. Had some good midfield battles, but yeah, I believe that was his home race, the Netherlands. It was Monza, and it started with I had it. God damn it! I literally just looked at it. But yes, I'll find that in just a second. But what is your best Max race?
Brazil? No, I'm just kidding. Mine was I think Spa, Belgium Grand Prix. I think was his best. He started 14th, and he just absolutely dominated everyone. I think that was like right after the break, and right after Binotto said that Ferrari has no reason to not win every single race after the break. They, of course, didn't win any after the break, and Max almost won all of them. But Max just dominated that, and it was like, okay, this thing's over.
Yep.
And then I guess honorary mention would be, I forget if it was China or Japan, the one that was like a half race, and he won by like.
That was Japan.
And he just like, I forget what the gap was, but it was insane how much he won by. So yeah, there's. Sometimes it is the car, yeah, but also Max is the driver of the generation, it seems like, at this point. So full credit to him. I don't like him off the track. I was starting to come back on him, but then second half of the year, he just really pissed me off again. So those are my best ofs. Did you have any more best ofs that you wanted to mention?
Yes. Besides that, it was Spa. I don't know why I couldn't think of fucking Spa. It was because I was reading Belgium. It was Belgium, Netherlands, and then Monza. He just absolutely crushed. Yeah, some of my favorite moments were that I have to mention. Obviously, when Daniel had that after fucking over Yuki, he had that really nice couple of laps in Mexico and was able to not only get 7th place, but just completely make his penalty just irrelevant. So for sure, enjoyed that this year. Besides that, I think Russell's win was pretty crazy to me because, besides, Max and Sergio and Charles and the brief, it was just the one Sainz win this season. Yeah, it was awesome to see somebody besides the top 2 teams actually be able to get a win. So besides that, it was just a lot of Red Bull winning this season, which should sound like a dream for me. And it was for a while. I was really enjoying the season. Although I did start losing about halfway through this season. So me losing my league did sort of sour this season a little bit too. But
I'll take that.
Yeah. Do you wanna bring that moment up that you?
Yeah, I was gonna say one thing that just popped in my head was probably the funniest moment of the year was at Silverstone when Daniel and Lando were racing on those little bouncy ball things, and then Daniel just absolutely destroyed Lando right in the face.
Stop it. Right, go! Oh, this is what we want. Daniel Ricciardo in the lead. Lando Norris has stacked it down the main straight. Here comes Ricciardo. It's going to be... Are you okay?
Oh, sorry. I can't see.
I can't see. Is there? Look, here we go on the replay. Oh, Oh!
Just ball to the face. And Crofty, I think it was Crofty right there, commentating
just
it as well. So
dying.
well, yeah, that was just a great, natural, unscripted moment. So hopefully we got a lot more of those, and maybe Daniel will be able to loosen Max and Christian up a little bit next year.
I hope so.
We'll see. So now that we've kind of gone through those, any more moments you wanted to mention?
Yeah. No, not I. Yeah. Obviously, the main one that I had, Kevin Magnussen's pole, definitely has got to be almost highlight of the season for me, as far as just batshit crazy things go, batshit crazy things go. But
that's cool.
It's also batshit crazy. That doesn't describe it as well as I'd like it to, but I'll leave it at that. It was just awesome.
Yeah, no, that was just a feel-good moment for everyone. You couldn't watch that and not be happy. So I think next, what do you think when we look back on this season, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What do you think is going to be a few things that we or the F1 community will remember 2022 by? Do you have anything off the top of your head?
Yeah. Besides looking things being oh, yeah, that was the last year Max ever won a championship. Yeah, we will never know, or we will eventually, but who knows if it's going to be something like that. But for sure, Red Bull's just crazy dominance this season. I think the drama from the past 2 seasons are definitely I still feel like Red Bull's cost cap stuff is going to sort of attach itself to the Abu Dhabi drama from last year. So I definitely think we're going to hear about that for a long time. We're going to hear about Vettel retiring this year. That's a big moment. That's huge. Potentially, if Daniel was to come back and do amazing, or never come back at all, either way, it'll be remembered as his last days with McLaren. Besides that, Mercedes is definitely going to be remembered this year about just how disappointing their season was, and not from a Ferrari perspective, from a completely opposite end of the spectrum. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. So kind of similar years. I think obviously Max's dominance, it'll look back as one of the more dominant seasons, because I don't think we'll remember how big of a gap the car had. I think we'll remember, and rightfully so, we'll remember how good he was.
Yeah.
And then, whether it's because of Ferrari's failures or because Mercedes, the end of an era for Mercedes, winning 8 constructors in a row and then finishing 3rd. So I don't know if this is what we'll remember, but they're never really being that strong second team in the fight. And the regulations coming in, Vettel retiring, obviously, and then it remains to be seen. But kind of like you mentioned, the Mercedes-Red Bull rivalry, if that comes back next year, I think this era will all get kind of grouped into one. Whether this year was actually a battle between Mercedes and Red Bull on the track, it wasn't. But I think, potentially, if that rivalry continues, this few years will just get grouped into one. And then it could end up being looked at as kind of the passing of a torch if Piastri does come in and light things up and become the next guy that has world championship potential. Could be a bit of, because I don't know, there's just a couple of driver moves that are guys leaving, and there's a bit of turnover. So could be sort of the start of a new era of young guys coming in. That's really all I have for what I think we'll remember. But who knows what we'll remember, because something could change tomorrow, something could change next week. So
that's true.
Yeah. That just brings us to, before we go into what we're just a brief talk on 2023. Let's do, so the driver pairings, or guys that are leaving. We mentioned it a little bit, but Sebastian Vettel, Donka Seb, Mick Schumacher, Daniel Ricciardo. One more, isn't there? And yes, my that's another moment I guess I should have mentioned, me going to my first GP and meeting Latifi and kind of meeting Russell. But yeah, so those 4 are out, and then
bye.
Yeah. So yeah, we got a couple guys out, and then you wanted to say who's coming in? Or I guess we can get to that in the 2023. Let's do our driver ratings. Okay. Wrap up, put a bow on 2022. Yeah, let's kind of go. Do you want to do out of 10 or like letters?
I put letters, but
Okay,
we can do top 10 if you'd like.
Nope. No. I'm gonna go with letters. Cool. Okay, so let's just go by. How do you want to do this? Do you want to go by standings? Do you want to go alphabetical?
We can go by standings.
Right.
It's gonna be a lot of in order, but that's okay.
Let's go bottom to top then.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, we'll leave Debris and Hulkenberg out of this. We'll just go back and forth. So Latifi, let's say, what's our lowest grade gonna be? An F?
Yeah, an F minus.
So okay, so Latifi, since I'm Canadian, I'll go first. I will give Latifi. Didn't have much to work with. Kind of got his spins and stuff together a bit by the end, kind of, but I'm gonna go D.
I'm gonna say F.
Okay, yeah, he's not sad to see him go. Nice guy and all, but yeah. Alexander Albon, go ahead.
I put D.
D. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit higher. I think he showed some promise. Kind of dropped off at the end, but I'm gonna go C. Zhou Guanyu. I'll go. I mean, do we give him credit for that walking away from that crash?
I'm very strict.
He was rookie of the year, the only rookie. I mean, I'm gonna go D plus. No, C minus. I'm gonna go C minus because he's a rookie.
That's what I went.
Yeah. C minus.
Rookie of the year. That's what got the C minus.
Rookie, but yeah, by default. But yeah, Yuki Tsunoda.
F.
I agree. He didn't do anything this year that stood out to me at all. That's an F. Mick Schumacher, I want to give him higher, but I'm gonna have to give him a D. I think he just didn't do enough to keep his spot, which is unfortunate because I love him.
Yeah.
I love Mick, but for me it's a D. What's it for you?
It's also a D. I
Lance
didn't
Stroll?
get. Yeah, I was gonna say. I was just gonna say I only got like specifics on a couple of them.
Yeah.
Minus plus.
Okay. Lance Stroll.
Lance got a D minus just because the only times I literally heard them say his name was when he like fucked up somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna give him an F for almost killing Sebastian Vettel in Brazil. Yeah, it was like second last race.
That's completely deserved.
Pierre Gasly, I'm gonna go F minus for him. I think for me he's the most disappointing driver of the year.
As my third pick, completely agree with you. F fucking minus. I like Pierre a lot, but yeah, like for sure the biggest disappointment of the year. Like it is. That's why he's talented, but like that's why I was a little shocked when Alpine was like chomping at the bit to get him out of that Red Bull contract. I'm like, are y'all sure about that? You know. But yeah, he's a good driver. I mean, but yeah, F minus this year.
Weird with them being Red Bull's junior team that their car was just nowhere near. This might be an interesting one. Kevin Magnussen. What do you have for Kevin Magnussen?
Kevin is getting a C plus because it wasn't quite good enough to get a B, but C plus is almost there. I feel like he might deserve a B minus, but I feel like Haas as a team gets a B minus, but Kevin is going to get a C plus.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm going to, just because he got that pole, even though he kind of lucked into it, if we're being honest, I'm going to give him a B minus. He came back with no expectations, and he was really strong all year. I'm going to give him a B minus. Sebastian Vettel. This is tough. He finished 12th last year in F1. I love Seb, but I can't go higher than a C, and I think that's being nice.
Yeah, it's also going to be a C because it's just I was going to give him a B, but it was like that's just me. That's just because I like Seb. If we're rating just from the season, a C, yeah, a C is being generous and not necessarily his fault. Yeah, the Aston Martin it had good speed in moments, but they are like, who knows how they're going to look next year, man. I mean, who knows what Fernando's walking into.
Oh my God, that could be a shit show within weeks.
Absolutely.
Oh man, Dad.
How long until fucking Lawrence has to make a video about Fernando?
We need you to get you're pretty good at it already, the Fernando, like, Spanish kind of, because then we could do a little skit where you're Fernando and I'm Lance, and that could be fun. We'll get that together in the off season at some point.
We're for sure doing that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Danny Rick. Oof, I'm gonna let you go first on this one. It's tough, but I think we both know.
Danny Rick is getting a D for me. I feel like an F is not. I mean, I wouldn't argue with that, but just because how much I like Daniel, and he showed a little bit of promise and a little bit of his old self a couple times this season, he's going to get a D. Probably closer to a D minus, but a D.
Yeah, I'm gonna go D minus. Much as I love him, like, no one going into the season would have ever imagined that he wouldn't be in F1 next year.
Right.
Yeah, that's that. One of your favorites, Valtteri Bottas. I'll give him he had some highs and some lows. I'm gonna give him a C.
Yeah. He's getting a C plus just because he started off the year super strong, and from what it seems like he's been just a really awesome teammate and sort of mentor to Zhou Guanyu. So for sure, C plus. I fucking love Bottas. Could even be a B minus, honestly, but no, C plus.
Okay. Fernando Alonso. What do you got?
Fernando Alonso is getting a C plus for me as well, and that's only because the car drug him down a little bit as far as his rating goes. Yeah, it's not all of his DNFs were his fault, but he also did make some mistakes this year, so C plus.
Okay, this is one where I think we vary a little bit. I'm gonna give him my highest rating yet, a B plus. As much as he's a dick, I don't like him very much off the track. But yeah, his car broke down a million times this year. It wasn't his fault, but on the track, like, I think he was one of the best drivers this year in terms of, like, what he was able to get. He qualified second in Canada in the rain. He had a lot of good, whether it was just like practice session or qualifying sessions, or just he was always kind of up there, always kind of like, oh, look, Alonso up there. Yeah, as much as I don't like him, give him credit, I'll give him a B plus. Next will be his teammate Ocon. Now, he finished above Alonso, so you'd naturally think I'm going to give him a higher rating than Alonso, but he didn't have those same issues with the car. He did, but not to the same extent. I'm going to give Ocon a C plus because he did beat Alonso, but those guys just clashed a lot, and
yeah,
I don't know. I don't really like Ocon, so yeah.
I'm right there with you. Ocon's definitely going to get a C minus just because, I'm sure Fernando's not the easiest guy to have on your teammate, but for Ocon, he did not make that situation any easier. I mean, you look all the way back to Brazil 2018 with Max. He does not make the situation easier. Ocon did have my favorite helmet of the year this year, though. So good. But
Spider-Man?
Yes, so cool. But yeah, I am so interested to see how him and Pierre get along because, wow.
Yeah, we're going to have... There's always lots of drama in F1 regardless.
Yes.
What this year's remembered for is all the drama, and like the summer break was electric this year. It was great. Next up, we've got Lando Norris. What do you got for Lando?
Lando is getting just a base C plus. I'm being a little strict, but he's the same rating as Bottas. But I want more from both the McLaren guys. Lando did get that podium in Imola, so props to him. But that was only because Charles crashed, and I don't know. I like Lando a lot. He's definitely one of my favorite drivers, but I think Lando's a little bit overhyped personally. So, but also McLaren has never been a competitive car. So we need to see what he can fully do. I mean, Lando could fucking be a championship contender in 2023. I don't know. I'm just saying, I just think maybe people put too much faith in him as a championship contender, potentially.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't necessarily disagree with anything you said. I'll give him a term between a B and a B minus. I'll go B minus because he didn't really, unless I'm forgetting, I don't remember him actually like competing for any wins this year. I know it's hard with that car, but I would have liked to have seen him have a breakthrough. He had that one podium, but just never really. He was up there a lot, and it was always like, yeah, look at him compared to Daniel, but at him compared to, I mean, like, yeah, he finished 7th, but the gap to 6th is 100, 120, 100, basically 120 points, 118 points, something like that.
Yeah,
so
that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. So that brings us to Lewis Hamilton. This is a tough one for me, obviously. First season of his entire career without a win. Obviously not all his fault. Got a lot of podiums. I'm going to go B minus. Just because I don't want to go lower than that. I'm going to go B minus for Lewis. He tried.
It's understandable. I'm going to just say a C just because you know what the man's capable of. He's the GOAT. And for him to not get one win, I mean, I'm counting the cars in this. You know, if we were just judging these men based off their ability, these ratings would not be the same. That's what Fernando Alonso would not be a C or a C minus. He would not. But just that's my thought just off this year.
Okay. Carlos Sainz 5th.
Carlos is a B minus.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have much. Carlos, I got a B. Good year, got his first win, but had a lot of errors early in the year and just, I don't know, never really got it together for having such a great car.
No.
George Russell, I'm going to give George, say it, an A minus. I think he had a great season for him and didn't really endear himself to me as a Mercedes fan, but he finished ahead of Lewis Hamilton in the standings, got some lucky breaks, but he got a win and he drove well and he had some good battles, I guess you could say, against Charles and Max. So I'll go A minus for George.
I don't disagree with a lot of the points you said, but I do feel like, I don't know, I feel like George still needs like a lot of maturing to do. I am taking a lot of like the incidents that he caused into account as well. He did get a win. I'm not gonna, be too harsh. So I'm gonna give him just a B.
Okay.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair.
It's fair. Okay, so this will be Sergio Perez.
Sergio, do you want to go first?
Nope, your turn.
Okay. Sergio, I had ratings for all these guys, but I'm sort of rethinking as I was looking at these. I was like, hold on, let me rethink that a second. I think Sergio also is gonna get a B just because, yes, he had one more win than George, but he was in a way better car, and he also did not challenge Max nearly as much as he needs to. So he's going to get a B. Sergio's almost a B minus for me, if I'm being honest, but that feels like just being too hard on him. So
yeah, I'm the same boat. I'll give him a B, but it's close to a B minus. Didn't really, with the car they had this year, probably could have done more. He's in a bit of a tough spot, and I liked that he called out Max, but reality probably shouldn't have done that. Second, Charles Leclerc. This is tough because like a lot of it was the car, but the car was also really good. He didn't really show that like killer instinct that I would have liked to see from him. So I'm just gonna go a simple. This is tough. I think I'm just gonna go B. Just B.
I feel that.
Could have been a championship season.
It could have. It definitely could have. I'm going to give him an A minus just because, he was able to get a couple of wins this year, and I feel like he even through all of the incidents with Ferrari, was still able to get a lot of really good results. Plus, on top of that, he was able to hold off Perez and keep P2 in the driver standings. So, yeah, A- for Charles.
Okay. And then two-time world champ Max Verstappen. Go ahead.
That's, he did not have a perfect season. He did not have his best moments this season. He had some bad moments actually, but he's still going to get an A+ from me just because of just how dominant he was. I mean, I can't deny that. I don't think anybody can. But you could argue, that it's the car. I'm not going to say you can't do that, but it's just this season was just so mental. So yeah, he's going to get that A+.
All right. Yeah, I'll give him an A+, and we'll move on from that. So that's about all I can give him. He did well. That's it.
I'll take it.
That's it. So yeah, we'll do a quick, because obviously we're gonna have all off season to discuss 2023, but that puts a bow on 2022. Done with it. Put it in something. Throw it in a fire. Burn it. It's done. It's over. See ya. 2022. 2023. You want to say who the new guys on the grid are going to be next year and where they're racing?
Yes. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I miss somebody, we've got Nick De Vries taking over Pierre Gasly's seat in AlphaTauri. We've got Logan Sargent taking over Nicholas Latifi's seat at Williams, and we've got the main man himself, the Buzz, Oscar Piastri in McLaren. Am I missing anybody, or are those our newcomers?
Let's see, we got Piastri,
De Vries,
Piastri, De Vries,
and Hulkenberg.
And Sargent. Yeah.
Hulkenberg's not necessarily a newcomer, but I mean,
right.
He's been out for a while, so technically,
yeah, it'd be new to people who just joined the sport, and then I guess Gasly moving, joining the French team, the Frenchman.
The French.
Delphine. So that's that, and then we have 6 sprint races next year. They are Red Bull Ring. So what's that? Austria, Brazil, Baku, Spa. What's that going to be, like 3 laps?
That's fucking
Coda.
funny.
And then the 6th one is either going to be Qatar or Jeddah. They haven't decided yet.
I am not a fan of Spa being a sprint. I don't like that at all. But
no.
I'm totally cool with Austria. I feel like shorter laps make for better sprints for me. So
100%.
And Brazil, obviously, great choice. Baku, I don't know about that one. We'll see. But to me, that seems weird as shit. But I don't know.
We'll see. We'll have lots of time to talk about that. I guess, let's maybe give one thing we hope to see in 2023, and then our first prediction for drivers and constructors. I guess for what do I want to see? 2023. I guess what I want to see, aside from like Lewis, like the obvious Mercedes getting back and Lewis fighting, is I want to see if Charles can take that next step, like in his career, and kind of he's gonna have a new team principal, but I want to see if he can take that next step, get that kind of killer instinct, get that extra edge, and see if he can actually fight for a world championship. So that's kind of the main thing I'd like to see for 2023. How about you?
I was going to say the exact same thing. I'll come up with something else, but, I want Charles to fight for the championship. Besides that, I would love to see Daniel back in an F1 seat. I really like Checo a lot, but Daniel back in the Red Bull would make my heart so happy. So, like, I know that's not going to happen in 2023, but I hope that 2023 could maybe lead us to that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm hoping for that too. Even though I'd be in a pickle right there. Max and Daniel, that would be tough for me. But
I want it.
We'll see. We'll see if Ross Brawn comes back to Ferrari. You're going to be jumping ship from Red Bull. So.
Oh yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah, and then let's hear first prediction, Adrian Huff, Constructors champion for 2023 and Drivers champion for 2023.
Well, I mean, it's probably going to be the safe bet, which is going to be Max Drivers, but I think the wind tunnel time might hurt them. So I'll say fucking Mercedes is going to come back and take that Constructors again.
All right, I like that. I will say Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton gets it. Number 8. Let's go.
Man, I hope so.
I hope so too. I mean, yeah, I really don't want to see Max get 3 in a row. Hoping that wind tunnel time does hurt them. But yeah, Lewis or Charles would be my hope. But yeah, we'll kind of see how things go as the off season winds down. Yeah, this was a bit of a longer episode, but we've had some life get in the way of things, so we've been off for a bit. But yeah, we're hopefully back to normal now, so we won't take up too much more people's time. But that was a lot of fun, kind of going back over all the moments of this from the season. So I don't know, is there anything else you want to add, Adrian?
Yes. I want to quickly bring up something not F1 related, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Just real quick, I want to give a shout out to my country, the United States of America, for destroying Iran in the World Cup. Fuck yeah. USA, baby. We got the world. That's one win so far. And also, I wanted to say good luck to Canada tomorrow morning. Y'all are facing Morocco, obviously.
Of course.
Yes. Is
that? We're already eliminated, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we lost our first two. But, I mean, it was Canada's first World Cup since 1986, and they scored, I know it's nothing, but we scored our first goal in the World Cup ever for men's Canada soccer, so it's something.
Dude, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's cute. But, yeah, hopefully we can get our first win tomorrow, and then in 2026, the World Cup is in Canada, U.S., and Mexico. It's split between them. So we're hosting in 2026. So maybe then we can get out of the group. It's all baby steps. But yeah, it has been an exciting World Cup. I'm interested to see how you guys do against Netherlands. You guys are playing in the round of 16. So my other country is Netherlands, except for Max. But usually I just root for Netherlands because Canada never makes it until now. So I'll be rooting for Netherlands against USA. So
that's okay.
It's on, buddy.
That's okay. Dude, when we tied England, I was like, fuck yeah, America, baby.
What a tie. It was one of the best ties of all time.
It was. Some of the videos that I've seen about people just mocking England for tying us is so funny. And pulling out the win against Iran. We talked about this when this first started. I didn't know shit about the World Cup, but now I'm a World Cup fiend. I love this shit.
Yeah. Anything that like brings the country together, it just gets you going.
Yeah, man.
But I believe England beat Iran 6-2, and you guys beat them 1-0 or 2-0?
1-0. Yeah, 1-0.
Hey, a win's a win. We'll see.
We've only scored once so far this in the World Cup, so I am so hoping. I mean, the Netherlands, we're probably gonna fucking lose. Let's be honest, but it's still exciting. We got to win. But
even matchup.
Yes, we can. Yeah, we'll keep talking about the World Cup. You know, we've got a lot to discuss in the off season, so I will. I'll end my little ramble there. But yes, that is it for F1 2022. F1 2022. We'll still be playing Formula 1 2022. Still planning on starting to stream some F1 here soon. Got a lot of stuff that we're planning on getting going in the off season, guys. We want to start 2023 season ready to go. So we'll be like, yo, not only do we got all these pages, but you can come watch us on all these different things. We're already kind of saying that, but you know, we've got big plans. We've been done saying this. So stick around, follow us, subscribe, Hard or Soft F1 Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, at Hard or Soft F1, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. We'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye.